It's the 2015-2016 NBA season, and one man is about to redefine what is possible in basketball. Records will be shattered, the limits of the game pushed beyond recognition, and the concept of basketball just changed forever. Because Steph Curry is about to treat the NBA like it's a video game on the lowest difficulty.
Curry, way downtown, bang! He's not from this planet.
For anybody else in the world, that's a horrible shot.
It's a great shot because it's Steph Curry. Steph gets to shoot whenever he wants.
This is the season that Steph Curry completely broke the NBA. 3 months removed from their NBA Finals victory back in June, the Warriors are receiving their championship rings here on opening night. The final member of the team called to claim their jewelry, their MVP, Stephen Curry. After adding an MVP award to his trophy case for the 2015 regular season, now he's adding a shiny ring. But this season, Steph is looking to add even more, as the narrative across the league is that the Warriors only won that 2015 NBA title because of the injuries to Kevin Love and Kyrie Irving of the Cleveland Cavaliers. A narrative that was pissing off the Warriors that offseason, and certainly Steph Curry. He would set the tone for where this season was going on opening night with the lights out performance.
The left wing, Curry puts it up. Iguodala, who just checked in. Open shot for Curry.
Curry opened the season with a bang, lighting the Pelicans on fire with his 40 points. Just a sign of the dominance that was about to unfold this season. After taking down the Rockets in the second game of the season by 20 points, the Warriors were matched up with the Pelicans again on Halloween night, and Steph was about to haunt the New Orleans crowd. There was simply no answer for Stephen Curry, even with the Pelicans having 2 of the best defenders in the league at their positions in Drew Holiday and Anthony Davis. He got whatever he wanted.
When nights like tonight happen, there's just you find shots and they keep going in.
Point deficit. And Curry off the dribble, going to the line looking for the 4-point play. In his own backyard. That's the way he puts it up.
A 53-point performance by Curry had led the Warriors to their 3rd straight win by double digits. And 2 nights later, they would show even more dominance against Memphis. By the end of the first half, Golden State was already blowing out the Grizzlies by 20 points. And the Steph Curry 3rd quarter barrage only made it worse for his opponents. A 21-point quarter by Steph Curry had made this lead insurmountable, and the game was over before the final quarter even began. The Warriors starters resting that entire 4th, something that would become common this year. While the first 4 games of the season have been blowouts in favor of Golden State, their next game against the Clippers in what would be a playoff preview was a close one until the end. But the reigning MVP was building a case for why he should be back-to-back MVP.
Curry again for 3. Bang! Curry gets out, corner 3, puts it in. Curry, long distance, it's good!
The Clippers already knew what was coming, but there was nothing that they could do to stop it.
We have never seen anybody quite like him, and the scary thing is that as good as he was last year, early on this year, he's better. I know we're only a week and a half into the season, and it might be a bit premature, but I mean, he's your MVP right now. You know, with all due respect to LeBron, Steph Curry, this little guy right now, is the most exciting guy in the NBA.
You've been talking about LeBron James being the best player in the world. I mean, are we getting to a point where we might have to start revisiting that conversation just because of the marksmanship? If you can pull up from half court, how can I dismiss you? It's scary. He literally is a threat from the time he steps past half court.
Well, look, even though Steph Curry's like 36 years old now or whatever, we gotta admit that Unc still got it. And that's why I'm using today's sponsor, Prize Picks, to make a pick for Steph Curry scoring more than 27.5 points on the Dallas Mavericks. Prize Picks is the best way to get action on sports in over 30 states, including California, Georgia, Florida, and where I'm at right now, Texas. We all have our opinions on these sports, and with Prize Picks, you can turn those opinions into real money all season long by making your picks in less than 60 seconds. I already went with Steph Curry for more than 27.5 points, and with Luka Doncic playing on the Lakers right now, I feel a breakout game coming, so I'm going with more than 2.5 threes made. Klay Thompson's also facing his former team in the Warriors. I'm feeling more than 14.5 points from him. And you can join in on the action with Prize Picks by signing up today and getting $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even gotta win to get that $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. All you gotta do is download the app and use code WillSoTrill to get $50 instantly when you play your first $5. Thank you to Prize Picks for sponsoring today's video. Again, y'all go download the app and use code WillSoTrill to get yourself that $50 instantly instantly after playing your first $5. For the first 5 games of the season, Steph Curry was averaging 36 points per game on otherworldly shooting splits, and he was doing this all in just 31 minutes per game with a 5-0 record. The Warriors went on to win the next 4 games by an average margin of 13 points, continuing to dominate at 9-0. And in that game against Memphis, he hit an impossible shot.
Good effort. Back into Curry again. And he backed it in. Out of all the whistles we've had all night, there wasn't one there, and Steph still threw in a 3.
And if that didn't demoralize Memphis, then this shot would.
3, good, and it goes. And of course it does.
Hitting shots like these could only mean that Steph was due for another explosion in the next game against Minnesota, where through the first quarter he had already connected on 4 threes. He was simply impossible to defend. Even when defense was played near perfectly, he would find a way to score.
Curry gets it off, and with Miller's hand on the ball, was able to hit from downtown.
Curry was just playing at a level we had never seen. It seemed like there was no shot in the world that was a bad shot for Steph Curry, as a 46-point performance now had the Warriors at 10-0 to begin the season. Over the next 2 games, Curry put up 34 points in an overtime win against Brooklyn, followed by a 37-point performance in a win against Toronto. He was absolutely cooking defenders, putting on a show on a nightly basis. But Golden State found their perfect 12-0 record in trouble against the Clippers, being down by 23 points in the first half. But as we come to find out, no lead was safe when Steph Curry was on the other end. The Warriors continued to chip away at this lead, with Curry proving to be an impossible defensive assignment. And just like that, the Warriors controlled the game, with Steph Curry hitting the shimmy of death. When he starts shaking them shoulders, you know it's over. Another 40-point performance on the season here for Steph, and the Warriors needed every single one of them in this game to extend the winning streak to 13. Golden State went on to comfortably win their next 2 games against Chicago and Denver, beginning the season with 15 straight wins, tying an NBA record. The Los Angeles Lakers, the only thing standing in the Warriors' way of history. And the Warriors absolutely crushed the Lakers in this one, with this game being over by the 3rd quarter. 16 straight wins to begin the season, the best start to a season in league history.
Steph, congrats on the win. I gotta ask though, is this Warriors team losing anytime soon?
We hope not. I mean, trying to play at a high level every night. Pretty cool accomplishment to start the season 16-0 and do something that's never done in NBA history. So we got to keep it going. I mean, a lot of season left, but we're on the right track.
Fresh off making NBA history, the Curry dominance continued as he rained down 9 3-pointers on the Phoenix Suns, scoring 41 points in yet another blowout win. The degree of difficulty on these shots that he was hitting was nothing short of mesmerizing.
I just don't believe what I just saw. He's amazing. He really is.
The Warriors streak would only continue to grow. A win over the Kings extended it to 18, and with Curry coming up clutch against the Utah Jazz, the streak was now up to 19 games. Now 1 win away from having the 4th longest winning streak in league history, with their next opponent being the Charlotte Hornets. But this was a special night in Charlotte with some relation to Steph himself, because the Hornets organization were honoring Steph's father Del Curry here on Del Curry Appreciation Night. Del spent 10 years with the Hornets and retired as the franchise's all-time leading scorer.
Hey, don't spoil my night, man.
But of course, Steph Curry would do exactly that. It was a quiet 12-point first half, but he began a 3rd quarter explosion.
In the final 5 minutes of the 3rd quarter, Steph Curry scored 21 points in 5 minutes. I didn't think that was humanly possible. He scored 14 of those points in the final minute and 53 seconds. And I'm thinking, that can't happen. I'm sorry, today he has run me yet again out of superlatives.
With 40 points in just 3 quarters, his dad's night was indeed spoiled.
Curry is the best shooter on the planet today, and he knows it.
It was a 20th consecutive win to start the season, an NBA record and the 4th longest winning streak in the history of the league. And it was all led by the smallest guy on the team, who was averaging numbers that were truly outrageous. No player that is taking shots like this should be able to shoot 46% from beyond the arc, but Steph Curry was redefining what was possible.
I have never seen a shooter like this in my entire life. There is simply no way to stop this young brother right here. It is special beyond measure. He can boogie on you with his own handle. He can create his own shot off the dribble. And oh, by the way, he doesn't spot up anywhere. It's off balance. It's falling backwards. It's leaning forwards. It's falling one sideways, one way to the right or to the left. How are you going to stop this kid? I don't know how you stop somebody that can pull up from half court.
The Golden State Warriors were on pace to make a lot of history in this season, the Bulls' 72-win record seeming well within reach, and if they could extend this streak to 14 more games, it would be the longest winning streak in league history. But the streak was at risk of snapping here in Toronto.
Steph Curry for three! Curry speed dribbling, goes for the three and got it! Curry, three again!
He's not even human.
Every single time that streak was in jeopardy, Steph Curry had an answer to put the Warriors over the top. He was inevitable. The Warriors went on to win number 22 in a row in Brooklyn and number 23 in a row in Indiana. As late in the game with their team out of it, the Pacers crowd couldn't help but be up on their feet in awe of Steph and Curry putting on a show of unbelievable handles and shot making. The Warriors now had the third longest winning streak in NBA history, and if they survived the final 2 games of this road stretch, they would be well on their way to the second longest. The Boston Celtics were the first matchup, and they were giving the Warriors troubles here at TD Garden. But guess who delivered yet again?
Curry. Wow. Here he comes. There it goes. Oh, are you kidding me?
The game went into overtime before the Warriors finally pulled away to win the game and extend the streak to 24. And the final game of the road trip here was against the 9-15 Milwaukee Bucks, where once again the Warriors found themselves playing from behind. They had found a way to win all season long in situations like these, but this time around, that way to win was not found.
Celebrating, and rightly so. A tremendous Milwaukee effort tonight.
The streak was ended here at 24 wins, but still no team had ever started a season better than Golden State. This was just the beginning to a historic season. Back in the Bay Area, the Warriors had a 5-game home stretch beginning with the matchup against the Suns. With Steph hitting more impossible shots, the Warriors were right back to ending games by the third quarter, winning this one by 25 points. The next team heading into town, the Milwaukee Bucks and Golden State, would get their revenge with Curry being an assist shy of a triple-double. After an 18-point blowout of the Utah Jazz, the Warriors were set for a Christmas special and NBA Finals rematch.
The current MVP in the 27-1 Golden State Warriors, and the 4-time MVP and his 19-7 Cleveland Cavaliers.
While it was a quiet game from Curry having just 19 points, that was all that was necessary to win this game over the Cavaliers in what was a brewing rivalry between him and LeBron James. In his next game, Steph Curry recorded his first triple-double of the season against Sacramento, but the story of this game was his late second quarter eruption.
Step back, and there it is. And Steph Curry. Let's go back and forth. Oh man, his three's good!
In just 3 minutes, Steph Curry has scored 17 points to end the quarter. Things that were never thought to be possible were happening on a nightly basis. Also, just letting y'all know that 97% of y'all watching are not subscribed to the channel, which means of course you're missing out on a lot of great basketball videos just like this one. Go ahead and hit that sub button. We got to get to 100K this year. But for a time, these incredible things that Steph Curry was doing every night would be put on pause, as Curry had picked up a light bone bruise on his leg that prevented him from playing in the next 2 games. The Warriors lost without him to the Mavs and won against the Rockets. But as he attempted to return against the Nuggets, it was clearly still bothering him, only registering 14 minutes before being taken out. The Warriors went on to just get by in overtime without him, with Draymond Green saying after the game, "That is the MVP of the league and we need him." After 2 days off though, Curry was ready to come back, and the ridiculous off-balance threes that made defenders question reality were falling once again. A 30-point performance back to the MVP level after that small bump in the road. Golden State then blew out the Lakers with shots from Curry that was so pure the net didn't even move, and they blew out the Blazers with Curry giving Damian Lillard nightmares. But Steph's outrageous shot making was really put on display in the Warriors' dismantling of the Sacramento Kings.
Steph turning, firing it in.
Not even Steph's own brother Seth was safe.
His brother nearly knocks it away. He shoots over him and makes it.
How many times do you think they did that in the backyard?
Steph Curry was so hot that he already knew his shots were going in.
Warm up three, yes sir.
And he capped off the 38-point night doing the dance on Rajon Rondo. How do you stop this? There is not an answer. Steph followed that up with a 31-point performance against the Miami Heat and a 38-point performance against the Denver Nuggets. But the Warriors came up just short in this one, suffering their 3rd defeat of the season. An 18-point blowout of the Lakers in Kobe's final game at Oracle Arena got the Warriors back on track behind 8 3-pointers from Steph, which he followed up with a ridiculous performance against the Pistons, scoring 38 nailing threes from long range. However, this came in an out-of-character loss for the Warriors, falling to the Pistons by 18 points for their 4th loss of the season. And this was interesting timing for an out-of-character loss, because next up the Warriors had to face the Cleveland Cavaliers on the road. With Kyrie Irving starting to find his rhythm in the past month since returning from injury, the Cavs had won 9 of their last 10 games, while the Warriors had won 8 of 10. Before the game, Curry sent a shot towards Cleveland in the media, saying he wonders if the locker room still smells like champagne, alluding to that championship celebration in Cleveland's locker room back in June. And when LeBron spoke with the media, he asked them why none of them brought it up, and then he said he'd respond to Steph's comments after the game. This was just set up to be a good one. And it was a good one, but only for the Golden State Warriors.
Curry fires from way downtown. Got his Curry on a quick release and hits another three. Here's Curry from way downtown.
By the start of the third quarter, the Warriors' lead had already reached 30 points, and by the end, Steph made it 40.
Curry from downtown. Marv, he turned around, Marv, before he hit the shot.
With 35 points in only 28 minutes, Curry and the Warriors gave the Cavs their biggest loss of the season, and the narratives would run wild.
I think that game last night was very significant. Steph Curry, I think last night settled, I am the best basketball player right now on the planet.
So can we officially say that now?
Oh, I think without question. And look, it could change, but right now, today, I don't think there's any question. Steph Curry is the best.
He is the most significantly impactful player in the league. LeBron is not.
I got to say this. This was the worst humiliation and embarrassment of LeBron James' career.
At the halfway point of the season, the Golden State Warriors were 38-4, on pace to set the record for the most wins in a regular season, while Steph Curry was the runaway favorite to win the MVP award. It was an unbelievable start to the season, but they had to keep it up. The Warriors went on to dominate the Bulls nearly as much as they did the Cavs, Steph Curry continuing to make plays that gave his defenders no choice but to shake their heads as he made difficult shot after difficult shot in another blowout victory. Steph just continued to be a living nightmare for these Eastern Conference teams, showing Indiana he could make anything.
From half court, it's gone!
Steph went on to score 39 points in this game and recorded his second triple-double of the season. But the Warriors were about to get their first look at the team with the second best record in the NBA this season, the San Antonio Spurs, who actually weren't far behind. While Curry was the heavy MVP favorite, the Spurs had an MVP candidate of their own in Kawhi Leonard, who was also the favorite to win the Defensive Player of the Year award after already winning it last season. This was the biggest game of the season thus far, but as always, it was Steph Curry setting the tone. Everyone the Spurs had was getting torched, so of course they tried to use the best defender in the league. He had no mercy, even the bigs were getting it too. And it couldn't be a Curry game without pulling it from beyond 30. The Warriors had beat the second best team in the league by 30 points, with the MVP favorite recording 37.
Steph Curry is a superstar. I mean, he is a guy that shines brightest when the lights are shining bright.
I've never seen anybody score at this clip and this fast. Michael Jordan's the best basketball player ever, and he has withstood LeBron and Kobe comparisons. But there are things Steph Curry does that Michael Jordan's not even in the same galaxy. Michael never shot like this or could handle the ball even close to this. There's nothing to compare Steph Curry to. There's never been anything like this.
Over the next 3 games, Steph would have a rough stretch, averaging just 17 points per game, shooting under 40% from the field. The Warriors did win all 3 games regardless. But this cold streak would not last long for Curry.
Curry, fake to get rid of Dudley. Shot's good, a three-pointer for Curry. Actually, they're the only team in the NBA as Curry knocks down another three. Come on, Curry. Puts it in. Curry. Curry deflects and comes up with a steal. Ball nearly taken away by Dudley. Curry. Curry again.
Starting a game with 7 threes in the first quarter was absurd, scoring 25 points to open up the game, and of course, it only was going to continue.
Curry behind the back, layup. Curry for 3. Got it. Curry flips it up and flips it in. Curry. That's 10 3-pointers for Stephen Curry.
A 51-point performance in 35 minutes. It was a special performance just when it seemed like he was entering a slump. So far this season, the Warriors have faced every title contender but one, and they were up next at Oracle Arena, the Oklahoma City Thunder led by Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook.
I think they're going to embrace the challenge. I think they are watching the annihilations that Golden State is putting before them on a night in, night out basis. And if there's anybody that I have faith in that will step up and rise to that challenge and say, hell no, I ain't having it. It's Russell Westbrook. I can't wait for that game. I'm so hyped for that game, and I expect a highly competitive matchup.
The OKC Thunder got out to a good start in this game, but as it always seemed to happen, Steph Curry started to light them up.
Curry from three. Got it.
His unguardable ball handling and lights out shooting in the first half would put the Warriors up by 14 points heading into halftime. And into the third quarter, the lead was 16 points. The Warriors on the verge of blowing out yet another championship contender. But this OKC team has some firepower of their own, going on a run that resulted in them tying the game back up with under 4 minutes to go. And here in the clutch, Steph Curry was a man on a mission, shaking Russell Westbrook on his way to the basket for 2, followed by a beautiful pass to Klay Thompson on the other side of the floor after drawing the defense in. But the true dagger came when Kevin Durant switched out onto Steph, beating the 7-footer with a nasty crossover step-back combination. The Golden State Warriors had won yet another big game, advancing to 46-4 on the season.
I know you weren't matched up against Russell Westbrook all night, but the times that you were, what was that battle like?
He's a great player. The All-Star just has a crazy motor, so you got to be ready. I got my looks at him. He got his looks at me. It's going to be like that the rest of the season and probably in the playoffs.
With the Warriors' domination this season, it was clear by the results so far that this Thunder team had the best shot at taking them down. With 2 more matches left in the season between these two, these would give more looks at a potential playoff series in May. But for now, there were just 2 more games left in the season before the NBA All-Star break, with the Warriors first taking on the Houston Rockets. The MVP performances just continued for Steph Curry.
Outside Curry, 3. Every chamber is filled. He is a flamethrower.
Curry scored 19 points in the first quarter alone, and the impossibly deep threes continued to fall, showing why he was must-see TV on a nightly basis. 35 points for the MVP favorite. To close out NBA action before the All-Star break, Steph delivered a 26-point performance while finishing an assist and a rebound shy of a triple-double. The Warriors heading into the break with the best record in NBA history by All-Star weekend at 48-4. And the 2 highest vote getters here for the 2016 NBA All-Star game were Stephen Curry and Kobe Bryant, who was here for his last All-Star game.
The 2 leading vote getters based on fan popularity, the most popular players on the planet. How does it feel for you to share this moment with Kobe?
This is amazing. I mean, you talked about how much he means to the game, and as a young guy watching him throughout his career and all he's accomplished, to be a part of his last run at All-Star, and all the fans honoring him and us players honoring him and all the things he's done for the game. It's in a much better place, and we're thankful for that.
Plus, by the way, I want to actually see him shoot the ball and be on my team. Shoot the ball. I want to see it, on my side for once.
Yeah, we all do.
While Curry got his in the All-Star game from behind the 3-point line as expected, he also threw down some dunks in this one too. He was feeling himself after that, and he ended the All-Star game in a way that only Steph Curry could. He understood the assignment here in this one. The Western Conference All-Stars won the game with Curry dropping 26. By the way, I just want to let y'all know that over on my Instagram and Twitter, I do post exclusive behind-the-scenes looks and previews to upcoming videos, as well as interact with all of y'all over there, so go drop a follow and join the community. But after this brief break from NBA action for All-Star festivities, it was back to work for Golden State, who were well on pace to make NBA history. The first game back from the break saw the Warriors taking on the Portland Trail Blazers, and it was another game where the Warrior starters only played 3 quarters. But this time, they were the ones on the other end of the blowout. Suffering their 5th loss of the season despite Curry's 31, they could only afford to lose 3 more games over the next 28 if they wanted to claim this record to be known as the best team in NBA regular season history. Golden State bounced back in the next game against the Clippers, and Curry completely demoralized Atlanta following that one. The shots that this man was hitting were ridiculous. He was not human. 36 points in the Warriors' 50th win of the season. They have reached 50 wins, and it wasn't even March yet. This season, the Warriors and Steph Curry have broken the NBA, and Steph's otherworldly shot making was so absurd that it had even broken the NBA's simulation video game made by 2K Sports, NBA 2K16.
They have worked very hard at 2K to reform the game so that you can't just play the video game and shoot 3 threes. They didn't want that. The problem being is that Steph Curry is screwing them up. They spent years developing a system at 2K that rewards good shot selections and punishes players for taking ill-advised long-range shots. But the real-life Steph is taking and making those terrible shots. And the team of engineers doesn't quite know what to do. Because now there is a player in the NBA that they're going to have to redevelop the 2K NBA game. Because there is now a guy that takes those shots and makes them, and everybody wants him on their team. Says the engineer, he is a rule breaker. We're still looking for ways to better translate his game, which is real in the NBA, to our video game. They don't know how to do it.
And with the Steph Curry moves that were in the game, everybody was equipping those moves onto their personal creative players, particularly his hop step jumper and his layup animation, which was really breaking the game.
Oh, look. Damn!
With how unreal Curry was this year, people wouldn't even be surprised if he did it in real life. Spoiler alert, he actually did this. Yeah, the shot didn't count, but what in the world? And let's not even get started on what Curry's 2K My Team card was doing to people. But as crazy as this was in the video game, Steph Curry was about to start doing this in real life over the next week. It began with him absolutely killing the Miami Heat. There was nothing Josh Richardson could do defensively about a shot like this one.
Curry hits a 40-footer.
He continued to get whatever he wanted in this game despite Richardson giving him his absolute best effort in trying to play defense. Even the NBA's best shot blocker Hassan Whiteside couldn't do anything with Curry in the clutch.
Steph 3. Yes, sir!
The MVP is Mr. Clutch.
If that 42-point performance wasn't crazy enough, he went even crazier against Orlando. And as impossible as he was to defend with the ball, he was even more annoying for defenders to deal with without it. The constant relocation and movement, how do you even defend this guy? This game was truly an off-ball masterclass by the best off-ball player in the league, who could also not be guarded on the ball.
Curry from half court. Banked it in. One of the best. Curry going for 3 more. He drills it. His 10th three-pointer of the night.
He managed to score 51 points in just 34 minutes of action, which of course requires some elite efficiency. But the biggest game of the season was up next, a rematch between the Warriors and Thunder in OKC.
It's just a regular season game. It's one of 82. That's the way I usually look at regular season games. Tomorrow night is the exception. This is basketball. Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, what are you gonna do about these boys marching into your house on a Saturday night, national television?
And as it was predicted, the stars were showing out in this one. Russell Westbrook relentlessly attacking the basket, Kevin Durant connecting on his impossible to defend shots, and Steph Curry doing what he always does as well. But the story of this first half was that OKC's stars were just doing more. They held a double-digit advantage by the end of it. But in that third quarter, Golden State started storming back, 11 points in the quarter by Steph Curry going ballistic.
Curry for 3.
The Warriors even took the lead with poor Kyle Singler on Curry Island.
Step back, 3-pointer. Bang!
But the OKC Thunder responded with the run. Kevin Durant was on a mission, looking to prove that he was the best player on the floor in this game. A 9-point OKC lead with 6 minutes left in the game. Steph Curry on his way back to the court for the final stretch.
Curry to the basket. Layup is good. Curry from downtown. It's good. Curry from downtown. Puts it in. Stephen Curry.
For anybody else in the world, that's a horrible shot.
Klay Thompson delivered a clutch 3 to cut the lead down to 1, but Durant had an answer.
Durant for 3. Bang!
A 4-point lead has seemed to put this game out of reach with 14 seconds left, but the Golden State Warriors always seem to find a way. A Klay Thompson layup brought it to 2, and a steal on the inbound led to a shooting foul on Durant, resulting in 2 made free throws and 5 more minutes of basketball with overtime coming up. This was already the game of the year, but it just kept getting better.
120. Westbrook fouled and 1. Curry for 3. Nails it. Curry, another 3. Oh, it's good. Green finds Thompson, his 3-pointer. It's good. Green, backdoor, Thompson, reverse layup, banks it in, and a foul.
After a Thunder missed shot, it was a tie game. 1 possession left, 8 seconds, and the Warriors timeout that wasn't deemed necessary.
They do have a timeout. Decide not to use it. Curry, way downtown. Bang! Bang! Oh, what a shot from Curry! And Golden State historic run continues with a signature win here in OKC. Stephen Curry, breathtaking once again, ties an NBA record with 12 threes, 46 points, and the Warriors are 53-5. One of the most compelling regular season games you will ever see.
This game and its ending completely broke the internet. People couldn't believe that Steph Curry took that shot with 3 seconds left, and people certainly couldn't believe that it went in. But that's just how this season was playing out.
Steph Curry is now in the midst of having the greatest single season any player has ever had.
To make what Steph Curry did in that game against the Thunder even more ludicrous, he had tweaked his ankle early into the third quarter of that game. Of course, it wasn't enough to stop him from exploding in that game, but he would miss the next one against Atlanta as a precaution, which the Warriors did win. And that was rest that was much needed for Curry, as the Golden State Warriors were set to play Oklahoma City for the third and final time in his regular season. And this one began with Curry absolutely cooking Kevin Durant.
Curry putting moves on Durant, do the double, able to beat Durant and score. Steph Curry around Kevin Durant.
This play set the tone for the game as Steph Curry took turns making every single defender the Thunder had look like a fool. But as well as Steph played, the Thunder still led by 1 entering the fourth quarter. The OKC Thunder seemed to be their match as every game was going down to the wire. But the final 5 minutes of this game were completely dominated by Golden State as they asserted their dominance, ending the game on a 20-9 run in those final minutes. They were down coming into the fourth and managed to win the game by 15 points. This team was far too explosive. In their next game though, they completely lacked this explosiveness and lost their 6th game of the season to a bad Los Angeles Lakers squad by 17 points. It was one of Curry's worst performances of the season, shooting 6 for 20. If we had learned anything about Curry though, it was that no matter how cold he might seem, he can go off at any moment. And that held true against the Magic the next day, because Steph Curry had his teammates celebrating his shots before they even went in. The night before, he couldn't buy a 3, but on this night, he just couldn't miss. It was Curry's 300th three-point make of the season, the first player to ever make that many threes in a season, and there was still 20 games left to play. The Warriors were right back in the win column once again with a 41-point performance by Curry. The Warriors went on to play the Jazz, where they won by 21 points on a bad night for Steph Curry, but even on a bad night, he was still shocking the world. After this blowout win over the Jazz, the Warriors continued the trend, beating the Portland Trail Blazers in yet another game that was over by the third quarter. Steph Curry scoring 34 points in just 29 minutes. But through 3 quarters against the Phoenix Suns, a night later, the Warriors would find themselves losing. Curry took it upon himself to make sure this game was secured. 15 points by Steph in the final quarter, the Warriors were marching towards that 70-win mark. But they would first have to secure win number 60 against the Pelicans, where Steph would again have no problems getting his against Drew Holiday and Anthony Davis. It was yet another game ended by the third quarter, the Golden State Warriors 60-6 on the season. And the trend of ending games in the third quarter just continued for Golden State. They humiliated the New York Knicks, with Steph Curry pouring in 8 3-pointers and 34 points in just 3 quarters. After an unbeaten 6-game homestand, the Warriors would have a 3-game road trip facing the Mavs, Spurs, and Wolves. The Warriors had only lost on the road this season, and this final stretch included 3 of their final 6 road games of the year. The Warriors had no problems here in the first game of the road trip against Dallas, as Steph Curry obliterated the Mavericks defense. He was hitting shots that could only be described for other players as heat checks. But for Steph Curry, these were just his usual shots that he would hit on a regular basis. This man was not fair. But for the second time this season, the 2 best records would clash again, the 62-6 Warriors versus the 58-10 Spurs. The first matchup was brutal for San Antonio, but this time around, they played the best game that any team had played all year against the Warriors, holding their offense to just 79 points on the night in a statement win where Curry had just 14. These 2 teams would face each other again twice before the season's end, but the Spurs had just handed Golden State their 7th loss of the season. To close off the road trip in Minnesota, Steph had yet another rough night, but the Warriors still managed to pull out a win before heading back to the Oracle. At this point of the season, it was clear the Golden State Warriors were chasing the record for the most wins in a regular season, needing just 10 wins over the final 12 games to secure that record. But every single night, they would be facing a team looking to keep them from making NBA history, and the first challenger of the final 12 was the Clippers. Steph Curry continued to do what he does best, putting on an offensive clinic here against the Clippers, taking advantage of the mismatches, putting on a show for the home crowd. There was nothing DeAndre Jordan could do to stop this 6'3" little guy, who finished with 33 points, leading the Warriors to win number 64. It was another 33-point performance the next night by Curry against Dallas, with more impossible shots falling for the NBA's deadliest sniper, win number 65. The momentum continued for the Warriors, win number 66 against Philly, 67 against Washington, 68 against Utah, but signs of weakness were shown as they needed overtime for that win. Chasing the illustrious number 69, Golden State would be facing the Boston Celtics, nationally televised on ESPN, and Curry had Oracle Arena on fire.
Steph is free. Steph for 3.
Didn't Carolina against Notre Dame, guys?
Deep Steph. Curry, fake it, take it, make it.
But despite Steph's incredible shot making in this one, it seemed like the Warriors didn't want 69 nearly enough. As the Boston Celtics handed them their 8th loss of the season, the Warriors could only afford one more loss in their final 6 games to break this record. Golden State bounced back in their next game with Curry hitting a plethora of outrageous 3-pointers, 9 in total for the game, but where he continued to impress was the degree of difficulty in securing win number 69 at last. Chasing number 70, Curry put on a playmaking masterclass, 15 assists for the game, the Warriors maintaining control with Curry adding some 3-pointers along the way, but that fourth quarter was a meltdown for the Warriors, letting the Wolves back into it and eventually forcing overtime, and by overtime the Warriors and Curry were out of gas. They had suffered yet another loss and another on their home floor in the span of just 4 days. With 4 games left, the Warriors had to win all of them to reach 73 wins, those 4 games being the second best team in the league San Antonio Spurs twice and another playoff team being the Memphis Grizzlies twice. To get this tough final stretch started with history on the line, the Warriors jumped out to a lead on the Spurs and then really started to dominate in the third quarter. This quarter would be the difference that got Golden State their 70th win of the season. But wins 71 and 72 were going to be the hardest to bring home, with it being a 2-game road trip on a back-to-back with the Spurs on the second night of that back-to-back. The Warriors would barely escape with a 1-point victory over the Memphis Grizzlies, where Steph dropped 17 points to go with 9 rebounds and 8 assists, securing their 71st win of the season. But now to tie the Bulls' 72-win record, they had to beat the Spurs for the 3rd time this season, and they had to do it on the road, which they had not done yet. The first half of this one was a low-scoring affair, with both teams knotted up at 35 points apiece. An uncharacteristic half for the explosive Golden State Warriors, but this was playing out how their first game on the road against the Spurs did, but they couldn't have that same result. With Curry hitting 3 threes and a couple more shots in the third quarter, he started to have this Spurs defense scrambling, and that's exactly what the Warriors wanted. Curry scored another 10 points in the final quarter as Golden State began to run away with it late.
That is ridiculous. The Warriors have tied the record for most wins in a season, 72, with the 1995-96 Chicago Bulls, and a chance to set a new mark when they close out the season Wednesday against the Memphis Grizzlies.
A historic NBA season had all come down to the final night, Game 82 between the Grizzlies and Warriors, a shot to break a record that was once thought to be unbreakable for Golden State. 20 years ago, the Chicago Bulls and Michael Jordan won 72 games in the regular season. 20 years later, the Golden State Warriors and Steph Curry looked to one-up the greatest team of all time. It was only right that Curry put on the show in this one, and did he ever.
Open 3, puts it in. Curry another 3. God, season. So Jordan was ready for 15. Boot flurry. Green, back to Curry. Bang! Curry again. Has shown up well.
Curry and the Warriors were dominating this game, all while Curry was about to do something no one ever would have thought possible, making his 400th 3-pointer of the season.
A lot of teams now in the league. Old-fashioned one. Yes, Curry does it. Although 73 is not a round number. Curry hits again. Curry catches 3-pointer. Bang!
And just like that, with Curry racking up 46 points in only 3 quarters, his night was over. The Warriors bench would play out the final 12 minutes, they chased history, and they made history.
It's official, number 73. The greatest regular season in NBA history now belongs to the 2016 Golden State Warriors.
Steph, congratulations on what has been a truly extraordinary individual season for you. You crossed the 403 platform, you go for that efficient 450, 40, 90, and you become the first guard since Michael Jordan to average 30 and shoot over 50%. How much of what was said about your championship a season ago drove this group to where you are?
Kept everybody motivated over the summer, I'll say. So we don't need any extra motivation, but we seem to be getting it a lot.
What you guys just accomplished is incredible. I honestly thought nobody would ever beat that record. I mean, and I honestly think now nobody will ever beat this record.
Steph Curry had just concluded one of the most historic NBA seasons ever, averaging 30 points per game while joining the hyper-efficient 50-40-90 club and leading his team to the most wins ever. It was the most points ever scored by a player in the 50-40-90 club, and he made by far the most threes of any player, shooting over 45% from 3. The next closest was himself 3 years ago. The MVP award was never a question for this season. It was going to be Stephen Curry. It was just a matter of a couple weeks before the trophy would be in his hands. Now the Warriors' focus was shifted to winning 16 more games here in the postseason to truly cap off what could be the greatest season in the history of the league.
What a gorgeous day
night in the Bay Area. The regular season's complete. It's day one of the 2016 NBA playoffs. The defending champs, fresh off their 73-win season, beginning at home before their raucous fans as they host the Houston Rockets.
Here in game one, Steph Curry picked up exactly where he left off, starting the game with a 3. But this game really started to get interesting early when Steph and Patrick Beverley got into it. Pat Bev angered the wrong one.
Curry, open look. Curry, long 3. Portis in his Warriors offense. Curry, quick release, got it. Sets for another 3, puts it in.
Steph Curry was dropping a classic performance here in the playoffs with 24 points in just 17 minutes of action in the first half. But in the second half, he played just 3 minutes as his ankle began to aggravate him. This was horrible timing to start having some ankle problems flare up here in the playoffs. He sat the rest of this game with the Warriors winning in a blowout, showing no signs of struggle, but they would need their MVP for this playoff run. Curry missed the next 2 games against Houston, with the Warriors winning game 2 by 9, but dropping game 3 by 1. Steph and the Warriors felt like he was ready to return for game 4. But during that game, not only did Steph have a hard time getting his game off, he also ended up suffering a worse injury. This play would result in Steph Curry spraining his MCL, and he would certainly be missing some more games here in the postseason. The Warriors went on to win this game without Curry in the second half, and they demolished the Rockets in game 5 once more without Steph at the Oracle to move ahead into the second round of the playoffs. And here their matchup would be the Portland Trail Blazers, but still Steph was not expected to return soon. The Warriors would have to withstand this Portland squad without him for the time being. And they were doing that. Draymond and Klay combining for 60 points in the game 1 win and a great all-around team performance in the game 2 win. Despite huge performances from Klay and Dre again in game 3, the Warriors couldn't keep up with Portland as they scored 120 points on the game. The Warriors would only be able to compete in a game like this if they had Steph Curry, and luckily for them, his return was imminent.
Golden State up 2-1 over the Blazers here as we get to game 4. And the big story here tonight in Portland is the fact that Steph Curry will play. Now, he will not start in this game, Steve Smith, but he will play. So the question begs, why not start him? And how many minutes can we expect from Steph Curry?
But if he gets rolling, he will play a lot of minutes. And I think coming off the bench, he wants to keep the same rhythm of the starting 5, what they've had going on.
But over the first 6 minutes of the game, the Warriors were dominated with the same starting 5. With Dub Nation begging for Curry to be put in, they would be answered. And he made his immediate impact on the game felt, coming in and doing damage from the mid-range area with some tough shots and getting to the basket, showing that he was having no problems with that knee he injured 2 weeks ago. But down here in the third quarter, Curry was determined to lead the Warriors back. He was directing the offense at an elite level like always, eventually leading to this being a tight game in the fourth quarter. He finally hit his first 3 of the night with under 5 minutes to go, but this game just went back and forth over these final minutes and eventually went into overtime. And this overtime period is when Steph Curry went insane.
Curry got it. Curry left wide open.
And he tells the fans, I am back. I am back.
High screen comes, Curry. Some ball handling, fires up a 3, does it again. Jaws dropped everywhere.
With 17 points in overtime, Steph dropped 40 in his return to put the Warriors up 3-1, an MVP performance from an MVP player.
The first unanimous MVP in NBA history, the 2015-16 Kia NBA Most Valuable Player, Stephen Curry.
Of all the 131 first place votes for the MVP award, Steph Curry received every single one of them. Yet another unprecedented mark in this season to remember.
And to be the first unanimous MVP award winner is something that I don't even know how to put into words. Guys have been thanking me all day, and I don't really know what to say. It's just, let's keep it going. Let's win a championship. Let's find a way to get it done, and really, set our place in history.
The Warriors were 9 wins away from completing the ultimate season, and with Game 5 a win away from the conference finals, the unanimous MVP was back in the starting lineup. Curry was having an incredible game, not just scoring at will, but also getting into his playmaking bag. Nearing the end of the third quarter, though, the Blazers led, just trying to survive another day in this series.
Curry with Davis on him. Oh!
Clearly, Steph wasn't having any of that, and through the fourth, he continued to put the Warriors ahead.
Aminu on Curry, behind the back, 3-point is up. Oh!
That's why he's the back-to-back MVP.
With 29 points and 11 assists, Steph Curry closed out the series for Golden State. They were headed to the Western Conference Finals, 8 wins away from NBA history. Their opponents would come from a highly competitive series between the Spurs and Thunder, and after 6 games, it was decided the Western Conference Championship would be between the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Golden State Warriors. In Game 1, Golden State looked to set the tone, having never lost a Game 1 under Steve Kerr. That trend was looking like it would only continue. Steph Curry and Klay Thompson getting whatever they wanted against this Thunder defense. Klay with 19 at half, Steph adding another 14, ending it off with one of those classic exclamation points. OKC was doing all they could to fight back into this game in the third quarter, but shots like these felt defeating.
Curry fires from deep and hits.
But no matter how crazy of shots Curry could hit, the Thunder stayed persistent, chipping away at that lead and eventually taking the lead courtesy of Dion Waiters early into the fourth. And this was a lead that was maintained, holding the Warriors to just 14 points in the final quarter, and the Thunder had done the unthinkable, claiming Game 1 of the series at the Oracle. Durant and Westbrook both shot 33% from the field in this game. They showed that they could win games in this series even with poor performances from their stars. The Warriors hadn't necessarily met their match, but this was the closest thing to it. In Game 2 though, the Warriors bounced back in a big way. They asserted themselves early, hitting 3-pointer after 3-pointer to get it started. But the Warriors didn't truly separate in this one until the third quarter. That's when Steph Curry declared that it was his time. A 17-point third quarter barrage meant yet another game where Curry got to rest the entire fourth quarter, this series all even at 1. But because the Thunder stole Game 1 on the Warriors' home floor, they were now the team with home court advantage in the series, with it shifting over to Oklahoma City. And as bad as Golden State beat them in Game 2, the Thunder responded by beating them even worse. A 28-point win that was never in doubt, Durant and Westbrook combining for 63 points. If the Warriors didn't take Game 4, they were in some serious trouble. And with Steph Curry shooting 6 for 20 in Game 4, that serious trouble was here. They had lost again in another blowout by 24 points, a 3-1 deficit for the Golden State Warriors.
The Western Conference Finals taking a turn that none of us expected. The Warriors lost back-to-back games for the first time this season as the Thunder dominated them in Game 4, and the champs on the brink of elimination.
I have never, ever seen Steph Curry attacked by a player the way Russell Westbrook has been attacking him. Skip, I can make a legitimate argument that Russell Westbrook has completely outplayed the 2-time reigning league MVP. And in the process, he's humbling him and the Golden State Warriors. They have to respond. I told you it was cold red yesterday. You know it's damn sure cold red right now. Russell Westbrook is putting the world on notice. Steph who? Did y'all forget who the hell I am? And that is what is going on here. And as a result, Oklahoma City is up 3-1. And Skip, I'm here to tell you, I believe they're not just going to show up in Game 5. They're going to do everything they can to avoid Game 6 and try to close them out tomorrow night.
All season long, the Golden State Warriors and Steph Curry had done the impossible, but if they didn't do the impossible here one more time, it would all go to waste. Of the 39 teams that faced a 3-1 deficit in the conference finals in league history, only 2 of them had ever overcome it. They would have to take this one game at a time, and in Game 5, they would have the support of Oracle Arena. Here, the Warriors would have a strong start, getting back to their brand of basketball, but Kevin Durant's contributions were making sure that the Thunder were still in this game by halftime. The third quarter was very competitive, with OKC continuing to threaten to take the lead away from Golden State, Steph Curry and Kevin Durant going shot for shot. But the Warriors were the team to take control over the final 12 minutes, and Steph Curry put the game away for good. They lived to see another day. The crowd was electric in Oklahoma City for Game 6, as this was a chance for their team to move on to the NBA Finals. And OKC sent their message early in this game, taking the first 12 minutes behind a 9-0 run in that quarter. Over the next 12, the Thunder put their foot on the gas a little bit further, growing their lead to 5 points by halftime, maintaining control over this game. But the Warriors were known for their third quarter surges, which would inevitably come in this game behind some big shots by the Splash Brothers. However, it was the Thunder who managed to withstand that surge, an 8-point lead entering the fourth quarter, 12 minutes away from dismantling the 73-win Golden State Warriors. But that is when Klay Thompson happened. An insane stretch of shooting was bringing the Warriors back into this game as he connected on shot after shot, even pulling from Steph's range. This man could not miss. As Steph delivered a few more threes here in this final stretch, Klay Thompson put the squad ahead to cap off his incredible 41-point night with 11 made threes. The Golden State Warriors came into Chesapeake Energy Arena and forced the Game 7, one game away from pulling off the improbable comeback. After all the work the Warriors had put in this season, it had all come down to a final game for a spot in the NBA Finals. They couldn't allow this season to end here. Steph Curry wasn't going to let it happen.
3 of 23 in Game 6 as Curry
for two. Yes! Yes! Livingston has been such an important player over Durant. Yes! Now, nice move by Curry to the rim. And he fires. Yes!
An unbelievable 36-point performance from Curry with 7 threes had done it. The Warriors had overcome the 3-1 deficit, making the season even more special than before. Now the final piece to the puzzle in a perfect year for Curry and Golden State was the NBA championship. The final roadblock being a familiar face, the Cleveland Cavaliers led by LeBron James. The Warriors would kick off this series in a way that reminded the Cavaliers of their crushing defeat earlier in the regular season. They won the first 2 games of the series by a combined 48 points, with Curry only having to average 15 a game across these 2 wins. But in Game 3, his 19 points weren't nearly enough to pull out a win as the Cavs sent a message in a 30-point win at the Q. But Golden State knew a big Game 4 could demoralize them, and that is what was delivered by Steph and Curry.
Curry, way downtown, knocked away by Irving, picked up by Curry, corner 3, it's good. Iguodala to Thompson, Thompson out to Curry, 3-pointer, puts it in. Shot clock at 7, Curry fakes, puts up a 3, bang!
A Mike Breen Bane call was all Cleveland needed to hear to know that this one was over for their team. Curry's 38 points had given the Warriors a 3-1 lead. Since mid-April, this team was chasing 16 postseason wins and they now had 15, a win away from capping off the greatest season ever. But at the end of this Game 4, Draymond Green got himself into some trouble and would especially get his team into some trouble. After an altercation with LeBron James where he swiped at him, Green was given a flagrant 1 foul. But because Green had gotten another flagrant 1 in the Houston series and a flagrant 2 against the Thunder for this nasty kick, he would be suspended for Game 5 due to an accumulation of 4 flagrant points for the playoffs. The Warriors lost by 15 without Draymond in Game 5 to Cleveland, and they lost again in Draymond's return in Game 6 by 14. The Warriors would have to survive another Game 7 to bring home another NBA championship and end this season how they wanted to end it, but that is not at all how it played out. The Cleveland Cavaliers won their first NBA title at the expense of the first unanimous MVP and 73-win Warriors, but this was certainly set to be an intense rivalry for years to come between these teams. Okay, fuck off, Kevin, you can't be serious. But that was the entire season of Steph Curry breaking the league. What a crazy year that was. Check out this video next for a full recap of one of the funniest NBA seasons that we've ever seen.